No, I'm not, I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't think I'm getting sick. I think I'm just probably having a heart attack or something. Console Crusade podcast. We're back at it again. EJ Olson with Nick Durheim.
I'm not sick. I'm just having a heart attack or something.
Chris Gilly 4.
Hi. I don't have a joke this week.
You got your jokes off before we officially started the podcast, but no one will hear any of that.
Premature joke-ejaculation.
Jokulation?
Ejaculation. That was it.
Oh no! Yikes!
I've been in the kitchen this afternoon, fellas. Should I even rattle it off for you?
What you whipping
A
up?
little Thanksgiving preview?
Let's go, Chef EJ. Come on, man.
Okay. So listen. This year, we're doing Thanksgiving for the first time since like 2019. The last couple years between COVID and everything, we either did nothing or we just did like Swedish pancakes and bacon, like, you know. So last year we didn't even get together on Thanksgiving. But this year I was like, I want Thanksgiving, god damn it. And so my mom and I are splitting an actual Thanksgiving feast. I'm doing the turkey and green bean casserole and freaking mac and cheese and Brussels sprouts with bacon, the whole thing. So, but I'm doing everything from scratch, which means today I had to fry off an unholy amount of onions for the green bean casserole. And I had to make myself a nice veggie demi-glace. Should have been more mushroom for it, but I didn't have enough mushrooms left over in the fridge. So it was more like a general veggie, like, you know, you throw some leek and some eggplant and some portobellos and some onion and some carrots and the whole deal. And it took all afternoon. And oh, my kitchen smells like the holidays and it's great. Now I just need some fresh baked cookies or something.
You need to just make gingerbread cookies just for the smell of it.
Just for the smell of it.
Throw them away. You don't need to eat them. Just smell them.
That's right. Nick, you got big old Thanksgiving plans?
I got a couple Thanksgivings, going to a Friendsgiving tomorrow, which we're baking focaccia bread for.
Oh,
We have to bring vegan dishes, so that's a little bit of a hamper. And then on Thursday, going over to Nat Steph's, going to do our family Thanksgiving. They've got a whole spread planned out, and they're just like, hey, can you like bring some snackums? Here's what everyone else is bringing. Here's what we have. It's like, well, I don't know what we can bring that isn't already covered by everyone else. There's like charcuterie, there's green beans, there's turkey, there's potatoes, there's mac and cheese, there's literally everything you can think of under the sun, including dessert. So it's like, well, Lindsay had an idea, so I'm going to just follow her lead, cut up some squash, fry them up or whatever, and just throw them in a bag and bring them over, chill with the dogs, you know.
Fellas, I'm getting hot and bothered.
He's a hungry boy.
Woo! For the first time in my literal life, I am going to a restaurant.
Oh, wow.
I'm going, Tiffany and I are taking a couples trip with our friends Alan and Leah to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. We've got a sweet cabin with not one, but 2 hot tubs and a sauna.
Is it a sweet cabin or is it a cabin suite?
Woo! You know Nick's on vacation if he's snapping these off like 5 minutes in, baby. Oh, yeah.
Got a sweet tooth.
He's off the chain. Yeah, so we were like, you know what? We don't want to cook. And so we found this restaurant that's doing like a 5-course Thanksgiving feast, basically, with all the staples, every staple. We don't have to fucking cook. So we'll go get on the list like early afternoon, probably like 2:30, and then walk around the area. I don't know. I think it's either at or near a strip mall. I don't know. It'll be open. I don't really care. And then we'll sit down, have a great dinner, go home, and drink some wine. Just relax by the fire. Maybe get in the hot tub, watch some football. I'm not doing a goddamn thing on Thanksgiving. That's a me day. Tiffany cracks me up because she's always like, she's a total Monica, right? On the Friends archetype list, where she's like, okay, yeah, let's go do on Saturday morning, you know, before we check out, we're going to be so close to the Great Smoky Mountains. We've never been. It's like, well, let's go over and do like a nice hike or at least a walk up in the mountains and see that. Like, okay, cool. And now she's like, we're not really doing anything on Thanksgiving. So maybe that's the day that we could do a second one and we could just like go and like have another hike, do like a nice Thanksgiving hike. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. And hoping that she'd just drop it. And then, like another 3 days later, she's like, yeah, so but look at stuff we can maybe do for that Thanksgiving hike. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the move. And then 2-3 days later, she's like, yeah, so what do you think about these options? And I'm like, I'm not doing anything on Thanksgiving. I'm not doing anything on Thanksgiving. That is a day of rest, alcohol, football, and food. Those are the only things that I do on Thanksgiving. And y'all know me. I'm an active guy. I'm a busy guy. I like to go out. I like to do stuff. I like to travel. I like to see the world. I like to be in nature. Not on fucking Thanksgiving. I'm not. Abso-fuck-lutely not. That is me and a glass of something all day long. That's it. That's it.
Chris, you should know better. You should know to say no.
I should have.
Because you know she's bound to do that.
She is. She gets so enthusiastic, and we've talked about this a lot. It's got a lot better in the last couple of years of our relationship, where I'm a guy that's like, we say the plan is set and we've committed to the plan. And Tiffany's a gal that's like, we talked about it literally one time. It's a plan now. And so we've had to like adjust our communication styles to be clear with each other about, okay, that's a plan. Like, is that something we want to do? Because if we talk about something offhandedly, there's still like 30% chance that Tiff's going to go, well, we talked about it, like that's what we're doing. But no, I did. I was like, no, I'm not doing anything on Thanksgiving.
If it is not on the calendar, date, time, and place, it is inherently not a plan.
That's my opinion. Google Calendar. If it's not
off the record.
If it's not in the Google Calendar, it doesn't exist.
We can discuss all the livelong day, but until it is in orange or green or blue on my fucking calendar, it does not exist to me. I will not be there.
Block out my time.
I have to keep everything in a cute, neat little box, or else my brain falls apart. Okay? Well, let's meander really quick into what we were going to talk about last week, but we didn't get to because we talked way too long about the Game Awards.
Which we always do.
Yeah, always.
It was great. It was a good conversation listening back this week. I was like, man, we had some good stuff to say.
A few weeks ago, it was announced a partnership between Nintendo and Sony. We're getting a live-action Zelda movie. And as you can hear in my voice, that is a very disappointing thing to hear, especially once the names got announced. Being produced by Avi Arad and directed by Wes Ball. Ugh, so the memes went wild. This is just a real all-star fucking cast attached to this project. So let's speculate a little bit. I mean, Nick, is there anything positive to be gleaned from this announcement whatsoever? From the names attached to it to the fact that it's going to be live action and not a sick-ass Breath of the Wild anime or something?
No matter if it's good, it's going to be wildly interesting to see what they do with it. That is the greatest fear of mine, is that it will end up being not bad, but like boring. And I think there's a distinct possibility that could still happen, but I don't know. I think Nintendo being more hands-on with this gives me a little bit more hope that it won't be as boring and like unappealing as, say, something like Morbius or Venom, and hopefully be at least interesting like the original Spider-Man Chris Raimi movies. Like this is like the Sony blockbuster division with this guy producing, Avi Arad. Like he did the Uncharted movie, which I have no interest in seeing, but like that's obviously the tier that they're working with here. So I don't know. I mean, what would be the best case scenario? The best case scenario would be not live action, so we're already like completely off the boat. So you gotta find a lifeboat, a door, and just Leonardo DiCaprio float your way off into the sunset. Like, I don't know.
We have the blueprint for what a live action Zelda is going to be with the MCU humor.
It fits a little bit. It's harder to see that being the case with just the setting. You think of like the MCU stuff. That's like, superheroes, these otherworldly fish out of water scenarios, like the first Thor movie, which is like the worst example of that, where the writing was terrible and the characters were unlikable. But you're not going to have that. This is going to be a fantasy character in a fantasy world. So I don't know what the modern equivalent of that even is.
I don't think we have a live action equivalent of it. But as far as tone, I mean, maybe more like the Dungeons and Dragons movie,
right? Which I haven't seen yet, but that did really well.
Think The Wand of Gamelon. Okay, we have a blueprint for what some over the top wannabe, trying to be serious, but is a complete parody of itself. The humor is over the top and horrible to experience. Now, just imagine that into a live action setting. Avi Arad, dude, come on. Name one fucking movie that he has done in the last 25 years where a better producer didn't save the fucking project. Something without Kevin Feige or Sam Raimi attached to it? Tell me what the fuck he's done. Nothing.
Not too familiar with his oeuvre or his input on the movies. I mean, I don't know why this is Miyamoto. Why are we working with Avi Arad? Why did we get a no-name director who's like just now maybe breaking through, getting a big Planet of the Apes sequel? Everything else before that is like teen dramedy flick, you know.
Daredevil, The Punisher, Fantastic Four, Elektra, the other bad Punisher movie, the shitty Ghost in the Shell adaptation that everybody fucking hated. Of course, the Spider-Verse stuff with Venom and Morbius, and goddamn, did we see the Madam Web trailer this week? What'd they do to my boy Ezekiel? What is going on in this world?
All right. All right. That's all fair. That's all well and good. We know that Miyamoto is intimately involved with the creation of this film. Now, say what you want about Shiggy, but the guy spins a good yarn.
I will.
He knows his properties better than pretty much anybody. There's a reason why Aonuma and co. brought him in really early to do a bunch of playtesting in Breath of the Wild and see what kind of stuff he was responding to, because he knows this material really well. So I'm going to put a little bit of faith in my man, the Shigster, and that this has been incubating for like a decade between the two of them, and they're finally like ready to pull the trigger. So passion project, potentially, seems like it. So Wes Ball, I have feelings about this. I'm of two minds. On the one hand, not a household name, which means we cannot look to the body of work and go, okay, I have a sense of what this movie is going to be like. On the other hand, if they were to hire somebody really recognizable, really iconic, with a really distinct style, because of the fact there's not really any live action equivalent of this, certainly not in the cinematic world, maybe in television, but certainly not in cinema, I would be worried that we would just get, like, not that we would ever hire him, but just as somebody who you're like, I know exactly what kind of movie I'm getting, like a Michael Bay Zelda. Like, again, it would never be Michael Bay, but if it were like a Michael Bay type guy, you're like, okay, we're getting Zelda by way of that guy. Shit. As opposed to just Zelda. One other thing with regards to Wes Ball I want to point out, and I posted this in the chat. Way back in 2010, 13 years ago, almost 14 years ago, Wes Ball tweets this. After seeing Avatar, the first Avatar, since I could never even hope to have the chance to direct it, the next big mocap Avatar-like movie should be, ellipses, all caps, The Legend of Zelda. So I think that tells you immediately the sort of aesthetic feeling they're opting for to try to create Hyrule, where we're going to get the kind of depth and breadth of what a largely digitally created world with actors mocapped with great care and attentiveness can bring together. Now, say what you want about Avatar. Second movie was mid. The first movie, I think, was like a technological marvel, but is just like Space Pocahontas with more alien sex. Visually, that would be a home run ball if he were to be able to do that. Now, I'm not saying he's going to, but I am saying the man clearly had a thought as to how he would conceive of that after seeing what James Cameron did with the Avatar films. So I'm wondering if that's the road that we are headed down here, is that it's not really going to be live action. Thoughts on that? I mean, in that sort of aesthetic world, would that assuage you?
That sounds like a nightmare. That sounds even worse. Like Costco, Jim Cameron, Avatar. Like, that movie cost $1 billion. There's no way in God's green earth that Nintendo's spending over $100 million on this thing. Like, why on earth? No.
Two major points. One, back to Shigeru Miyamoto, who really has not had that much involvement. Like, he's been sort of a general producer overseeing things, but all the hard work and heavy lifting is being done by people who are in the trenches every single day. The last thing he directed was, that wasn't a mobile app, was what? Star Fox Zero? Talk about like doing right by your beloved property. So forgive me if I don't have the utmost confidence in what someone who's never done this before is able to do. As far as Wes Ball having I mean, who knows? We'll see. But I'm like, the only thing worse than making a live action movie out of a franchise whose like protagonist literally doesn't say words is to then make it a live action production of Cats the musical. Like what? Like they're not 7 foot tall blue people. How are we gonna mocap Link? Like Ganon maybe, and you know the odd creature here and there, but like your main characters are human beings.
They mocapped everyone in Avatar. Sam Worthington, Sigourney Weaver. Those are that is a mocapped performance.
They're 7 feet tall blue people.
No,
they're not
PJ,
humans.
you are not listening to me. When they are humans, every shot of that film is digitally animated over. Every single shot of that film, including when they are people.
That is not correct. It happens sometimes, and you see behind the scenes where like, oh, we had to replace part of the body here, the arm here, but overwhelming majority of the scenes where the two humans interacting in a laboratory, those are real people interacting. That is not all CGI. And if that's what you heard, it's incorrect. And for a children's movie like Mario, where the standards are different, not necessarily lower, they're just different, trying to do a blockbuster Marvel-esque cinematic experience, the bar is much higher, I think, for what you can and can't get away with. So
I have questions, is what I'm left with.
so many.
They announced, yes, we do it. We're making a movie. It's got these people attached to it that gives you no confidence. It's just like, here are these two names. And what you can either take negative connotations from that or nothing from that. Those are your two options. So until we get a cast and until we get, I don't know, like any sort of previs something to sort of convey to me what the tone is, I'm like literally looking through a list of fantasy films from the 2010s just to sort of like, what is the template? What are they copying? Because that's what movies do, is they copy other movies. And the closest thing I could think of to a Zelda movie would be like the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit movies. And then that has actual source material that has characters and stories. And the Zelda series does not really have that. It has a very, 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 very thin story. The whole like premise of the story is just something for you to play around in. So what are the takeaways? Like, who are the characters? Who is the best character in the Legend of Zelda series? Who are they hanging their hat on? Like, the best is probably what, Ganondorf? Like, think Wind Waker Ganondorf. And then, I don't know, Zelda cried in Breath of the Wild. And that was very emotional because the music hit and we have memories of that music over the past 30 years. But there's like nothing story-wise that actually gives that any pathos. So they've got a lot of heavy lifting to do. And you know it's going to be Breath of the Wild because that's the best-selling game in the franchise. That is the template visually and storyline-wise. So you're going to get Link in a blue shirt and it's going to be like, I don't know, they're not going to do Game of Thrones. That's the other thing that's like the most popular fantasy franchise. But it's not going to be that. Like, who is the target audience? Is it going to be trying to expand Zelda the way Mario did? Like, they're talking about, oh, Mario movie did this well in these countries that Nintendo doesn't have as a presence in. Video games don't have a presence in, but it's still doing super well in India and like these Southeast Asian countries. Is Zelda supposed to be that too? Why live action then? Live action is not going to be as appealing to children. Children like animated movies. That's why Mario is one of the best-selling movies in theaters, because it was animated. If Mario was a live action movie, it wouldn't have been popular. So I don't know what the point of this movie is.
I think a good analog, and EJ, I'll watch that video later and also do some more research into stuff and try and see where I had read that. I think that an analog, and this will not probably make anyone happy to hear, is an MTV television show by the name of The Shannara Chronicles, starring one Austin Butler prior to his star turn in Elvis. I think that there is a lot of shared DNA to what we maybe could expect it to look like or feel like, or what a high fantasy live action based on an existing property, but with some potential freedoms might look like. That show fucking sucks, so I'm sorry to say that. But that's the first thing I thought of.
He is Link.
Austin Butler.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Shannara Chronicles, yeah,
funny.
he is. And he'd be a great choice, which they will never get. I have some other thoughts on who that might be. We'll talk about that later. You really think they're going to do Breath of the Wild? I think that would be an astonishingly bad choice for every possible reason. I don't care how many copies it sold. That game, that is not going to support the weight of a feature film.
Like I said, not the story of Breath of the Wild, but the look and feel. It's going to have Link doing extravagant things with items, which is a Zelda thing, but it's going to be the Sheikah Slate. It's going to be stuff like that. It's going to be creative.
I don't think so at all.
Like, imagine a Jackie Chan fight sequence, but with Link instead.
That's nothing at all. Like the game, why would that be what they do? No, this is 100% going to be Ocarina of Time.
Because it's like utilizing things around him. I'm just thinking like the way storytelling happens in a game is different than in a movie. Like we all know this. And I'm just thinking like, what are the set piece moments? There's going to be boss fights, maybe like 2 boss fights and then like a Ganon fight at the end, right? And there's going to be some puzzle solving by way of like a national treasure, like that kind of thing. And there's going to be a few characters traveling with Link because he can't be by himself. And it's not going to feel like Zelda. It's not going to be Zelda, but it's going to look like it a little bit. It's going to be tailored around the look of Breath of the Wild.
It will be unrecognizable in its story beats and the lore. It'll be wearing a fucking Zelda skin suit, and we're gonna hate it. It might be successful. We're gonna fucking hate it.
They'll say like sages occasionally and stuff like that. They'll like say the words, but it won't have the same context.
Yeah.
And it'll be like sort of shoehorned in.
What, based on the absolute like self-fellating reference fest that was the Mario Brothers movie, makes you think that they are going to wildly divert from what is already more clearly set up to support a narrative? Something like Ocarina of Time. Like,
I don't know. Galaxy was a good story, but they didn't do a Galaxy movie. They just did a Mario movie. They're going to do a Zelda movie.
no Mario games have stories. That's what I'm saying. Like, but they still were like, no, this is going to be Mario through and through.
No Zelda game has a story either. It just has a premise. This happens, then this happens, then this happens. It's not a story. It's just a series of events.
Ocarina of Time has a story. I think it has a story. And that's from somebody who doesn't think like structurally in 2023 that game is that fun to play. But I think that is the most obvious one to do that would lend itself to a 2-hour, maybe 2.5 hour if we're lucky, feature film that we could get a clear beginning, a clear middle. We do the time jump. We get to adult.
They're not
Link.
going to do a time jump. That's why they're not doing Ocarina of Time. They're not going to do a kid actor and adult actor. They're not doing that.
I'm telling you. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do something like fucking Breath of the Wild, or even if it's just the like aesthetic trappings of Breath of the Wild, which why would it be? Why are they going to have a Sheikah Slate just so that they could have a Sheikah Slate if it's not going to make any fucking sense? Like, this is crazy.
This is in the game.
This is crazy talk.
You give Link some cool ass powers, and I mean, Breath of the Wild is just evil guy back, penetrate castle, kill him. Like that, it is the simplest.
And it's archetypal in like every sense of every Zelda story where it starts out with Link waking up, getting powerful, then fighting Ganon. Like that's just every Zelda story boiled down.
Yeah, but no timer and no time travel, a la the N64 games. I just want my Wind Waker anime here, okay? So I'm just totally out on this.
Also, we know Nintendo's not doing the Princess in Distress thing after Mario. There's no fucking way they do Princess in Distress. So how the fuck are we going to do Breath of the Wild if we can't do Princess in Distress? Ocarina of Time, hello, Sheik, right there in front of us. Like, active, able participant in the quest to retake Hyrule from Ganondorf. No, man, I see it clear as day in my head. 30 minutes with Kid Link, an hour and a half with adult Link. Cut it, send it to print. It's over. Like, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Sheik will definitely be in the movie. Actually, maybe not. Zelda will definitely be a strong protagonist character. But they're going to shred what semblance of lore the Zelda franchise has. They're going to shred it.
God help us if they try and write their own Zelda story. Like, God, literally,
Look what
God
they
fucking
did with The
help us.
Witcher. Look what they find. They butchered The Witcher. The first season was okay.
I don't care about The Witcher.
That's just a blueprint for like high fantasy video game coming to live action. Of course, Geralt is a real character who like says words. I mean, Mario literally historically is like more of a character than fucking Link has ever been. It's insane to me that, again, we're taking a silent protagonist whose strengths as a playable character are the fact that he doesn't fucking say or do anything.
And he has a very recognizable silhouette and outfit.
Which is completely fucking goofy in live action. It's
the
hilarious.
most notable character trait that Link had for 30 years was being left-handed, and they took that away from him too.
This is erasure, lefty erasure.
Chris, are you left or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Nick, you're right-handed.
Cheers.
Is there any sense of ambidextrousness? Ambidexterity? I don't know.
No.
My brother's left-handed. That's the closest I got.
Joey's also left-handed. Fucking mutant.
We've all got black sheep in the family.
We shared a womb several years apart. That's as close as it got.
Hey, we share half our DNA.
Oh, man. I do want to say, Wes Ball did the entire Maze Runner trilogy, which is why I scoffed at this right off the bat, because Sarah definitely watched those movies, and I sat through them, and they're fucking abysmal. And they're a spectacle. Some of the CG is pretty rough, but that's just a budget thing. But those are not good movies, and so this man is definitely no stranger to pseudo-blockbuster filmmaking, which is clearly what Nintendo wants.
Yeah, those like also rans after the Twilight series really blew up were pretty
The Hunger Games,
sad.
that
Hunger
whole
Game, Percy Jackson, you know.
There must always be one.
Spiderwick Chronicles.
Oh, gee, I don't see. You're going deep now. I don't even know what that is.
A vampire's assistant, and you know, everyone tried to take a swing.
I want this to be good for obvious reasons. I want to, but again, I think those first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones ruined me. Like I have not watched a single fantasy action anything and had done anything besides yawn my way through it.
Which is messed up because you've said many times that science fiction you like to read, but fantasy you like to watch.
No, it's the other way around. I like to read fantasy. I like to watch sci-fi.
I get that mixed up because there's so many sci-fi things that I like that you don't like, and it just breaks my brain.
I feel like it's basically just Blade Runner, which
and Arrival. This is Denis Villeneuve. They didn't even know they did a Shannara series. That sounds bad. That sounds like
awful.
I mean, that was a 3rd-rate fantasy series, and why would they do a?
You keep Terry Brooks' name out of your mouth. It's a Pacific Northwest legend.
I read several of those and I was like, oh, yeah, he is literally just rewriting Lord of the Rings. Good for him. He really did the thing.
Aren't they all, though?
Occasionally, like Wheel of Time, I fell off. That was pretty bad.
Okay, an all-time fantasy series. We have such strangely different tastes.
Dude,
Look at
Farm
this
Boy
guy.
Fantasy is just like, oh, yeah, good for you, man.
Look at this.
Numbered copy, a proof version of like a nice hardback Sword of Shannara that they did a limited run of. I found this in a bookstore in Lincoln City.
Don't you get sick of moving those every year?
MacGuffin of pronoun.
I just got these. I just got the ones that I have. I just got since we moved to Louisiana, but I can't help it. I keep finding firsts that I don't have or nice versions of stuff that I need to get. Yeah, Shannara Chronicles is bad. EJ, did you watch that? How the fuck are you familiar with that show?
I'm really into anything and everything that MTV and or VH1 produces in the year 2023. So that was like 2016, right? 2017.
Yeah, it was 2016. It was really bad. And they based it on my fucking favorite one of those books, and they just absolutely eviscerated it. It was terrible, unrecognizable.
I've never seen it, but the memes were really hot because, again, MTV fantasy series. I mean, that was a good day on Twitter. Let's pony over to a little casting. Let's talk about how much we want to see Tom Holland play Link.
No.
You can't have Tom Holland as Link when Timothy Chalamet is obviously Link.
I fucking hate that pointy faced fuck, okay? I do not want to see Timothy Chalamet do fuck all.
He is a little overexposed, but he is a good actor, but I do not want him in this movie.
He's goddamn...
He's overexposed.
I can't think of his name now because my brain isn't working. Why am I having a hard time thinking of the actor's name that fucking Chris hates?
Because you have COVID.
Tom Holland. No, not Tom Holland.
The other one, Tom Hiddleston. Timothy Chalamet is just a sexy Hiddleston, okay?
I don't hate Tom Hiddleston.
Young Hiddleston.
I think Tom Hiddleston's a good actor. I just think he was absolutely shit in the first season of Loki.
That's fucking insane. Oh, Chris the Contrarian.
It's not his fault.
Who's playing Link in your fan cast here?
Jeremy Allen White from The Bear.
He's fucking 40. What the fuck?
As young Link. No, he's like maybe 30. But still, that is funny.
He is plenty young to be Link. I think he is extremely fucking castable right now. I think that he has a great look. I think that he could do a lot with very little dialogue if necessary, because he is an actor with great skill. No, I don't want a fucking twink ass, like 18, 17-year-old looking fucking Link, because then you know it's going to be bad.
Dude, I get that guy mixed up so much with the guy who's in Kick-Ass.
Link can be an adult. There's no reason he can't be an adult.
He'll be in his mid-30s by the time this shit actually films. The dude looks like a grizzled fucking alcoholic.
Yeah, he looks like him.
Hey, princess. Takes a fucking drag off a cigarette, hawks a loogie. Like,
yeah,
come
just
on,
imagine,
bro.
just imagine thinking that somebody's the exact same in every single fucking role that they play.
So far, he has been. He plays himself in everything.
That's an agent problem. That's not a him problem. He's clearly a fucking good actor. That'd be my pick. That'd be my first choice.
That is some true hipster shit right there. Nick, do you have any idea? I don't have any ideas for any of the casting here, other than maybe Ganon, but it's more of a meme than anything.
I don't know what you're gonna say.
Jack Black. No. Can you imagine that?
Well, hello, Link. Welcome to your doom.
I don't actually have a pick. I'm just scrolling through IMDb, and I think it'd be funny if Paul Dano was Link.
Dude, Paul Dano 15 years ago, that's basically Jeremy Allen White. Like,
Yo, let's go.
How old is Paul Dano? He's 40.
He's 1984, so yeah, he's literally 39.
Okay. He's younger than I thought. I like Paul Dano.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Shout out to Little Miss Sunshine. I fucking love that movie.
Just pick an actor from like a bad Disney Channel sitcom like 10 years ago who's now finally 27 and like wants to break their image, but they still look like they're 12. That's who you get.
I just don't really have anything. I just don't. I mean, there's nobody who I could see that I know now from a really iconic role. I mean, think about like Game of Thrones.
Get Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh God, he's
I will
fucking old too.
fucking kill you.
Jesus Christ. Chris hates success, man. It's really a shame to see.
He can't act. He's just a neurotic piece of shit who happened to get one film role and everybody's like, oh my God, he's so interesting. Fuck Jesse Eisenberg. He is a terrible actor. The only time he has ever looked good in anything is when they cast him as an equally neurotic, equally big piece of shit, Mark Zuckerberg, in the fucking Social Network. He's not even acting. He's just being himself. I hate that guy.
Okay.
Nice.
So what are the odds that Chris Pratt ends up in the Zelda movie in some capacity?
50%.
I'm not doing a bit. Like, what are the fucking odds that Nintendo fucking loves this guy? Action hero.
He'll just be like a little like he'll have like a comedic bit role, you know, for a scene where he's like selling Link.
He plays Beetle.
He'll be
Some milk. Yeah, Beetle. Like I said, he'll be Beetle. Yeah, exactly.
He'll be
just do
Tingle.
voices.
They'll just put his face on Tingle's body like an Oompa Loompa, like the Hugh Grant in the new
I like that.
Willy Wonka prequel.
Rip Torn was the best Oompa Loompa. I will not stand by this.
What?
Using the Johnny Depp one.
I believe that actor's name was Deep Roy.
Deep Roy? Oh, my bad. I was thinking, I get those mixed up because they're both not real names.
All right, Rip Torn. It's like
Deep Roy.
that's like present and past tense. Like that's how they named him. My name is Run Ran.
Sticking with Chris's idea of casting somebody who is way too old to play any version of Link, they're probably going to get Jared Leto or something. I mean, think about it. All the connections that Avi Arad has with this guy as Link.
It's Morbin time.
There's a non-zero chance of that happening.
No, I don't have any fan cast. It's got to be an unknown. It has to fully be. They got to go full Star Wars with it. They've got to Daisy Ridley the shit.
Oh, because that happens.
It does occasionally. You surround them with more famous people doing more bit roles. It puts over actors. I can see them doing that.
Yeah, that to me, it has to be some unknown. And it has to be someone young. And I'm not saying it needs to be. I don't know. It's kind of tough because when I look at like the Spider-Man casting, for example, I was excited to get a Tom Holland, a guy who was younger, and to finally see Spider-Man in high school, not just at the tail end. You know, getting a 32-year-old guy to play senior year Parker.
Toby.
Or Andrew Garfield.
5 o'clock shadow.
How old is Andrew Garfield? Like he's literally a 45-year-old
He looked younger
man.
at least.
Hey, can we get Andrew Garfield, do you think? I'd watch his Link.
Andrew Garfield as Rivali.
I'm here for that. I can see that. Fucking suave ass, cool ass motherfucker. Okay.
Just being a prick.
Okay. You know, like for Tom Holland, for example, in Spider-Man, I was like excited to finally see a young Peter Parker. But guess what happens? Tom Holland is never going to grow up. He's never going to be fucking Marky Mark or The Rock, or not that Spider-Man needs to be, but like Tom Holland, he's got the Elijah Wood thing. He will just turn into a creepy little man-child in 10 years, and he'll never be able to play grown-up Peter Parker. You know, and so that's kind of the problem with casting somebody young like that to be young, is they never actually grow up.
Do you want the Zelda series to be a series? Do you want the Zelda movie to be like a bunch of movies?
What do I want, or what will they do? I don't want that. I would just love a retelling of the same Zelda story in anime form, the way we've been getting it in video game form. Every Zelda game is the fucking same.
You're not getting an anime though. You're getting a live action movie, but do you think they're going to be casting with the intent of popping these out until they don't make money. They're just like
Yes.
squeeze
Yeah, oh yeah.
blood out of the
100%.
stone.
If this gets $1 billion in box office sales, without a doubt, there will be a fucking sequel with Timothée Chalamet or whoever the fuck.
You know,
as
There
Link.
is absolutely zero chance in hell that this makes over like 500 mil, right?
Who know? I don't know, man. I have no way of knowing. After how bad the Mario movie reviews were,
I mean, Marvel movies aren't even making that kind of money anymore.
Mario
They're
did.
falling off a cliff.
I mean,
Mario's a animated movie.
yeah, that's true. It's comparing apples to oranges.
I'm just thinking like fantasy blockbuster live action movies. What's been making money? The Hobbit movies did like 10 years ago, but it's Marvel. It's just Marvel. It's Marvel and Star Wars. And neither of those are really good approximations for what a Zelda movie is, where it'll be a fantasy movie in a fantasy setting. Like
Oppenheimer made $1 billion.
Oppenheimer is not a fantasy movie.
Yeah, and it's one of the last premier directors in film in 2023.
Honestly, Barbie is closer to Zelda than like any of the Marvel movies.
Low key, that made a fuckload of money.
D&D didn't even crack 100 mil domestically.
It did a lot in streaming. I mean, it was day and date streaming, wasn't it? Or it was like a week after. So I don't know about domestic, but
If that's tonally similar to what they did with Zelda, I would be perfectly fine with that. That it's like a perfectly cromulent fantasy adventure film with likable, engaging characters that they give just enough development to for us to be like, oh, that's cool, and doesn't overstay its welcome. I'd be totally happy with that.
that is absolutely a best case scenario. So I think we should be thinking comedic actors for a lot of these secondary roles, and let Link be like the straight man that all these wacky things are happening to. Give him a little bit of pathos. Like let the villain has to be charismatic, obviously. But who do you want to cast next?
Dwarf?
I have the perfect dwarf.
I can't not, and I hate this because it was in one of those stupid fucking fan-made posters when they were like, oh, here's Tom Holland and Emma Watson. I was like, this is stupid. I hate this. Man, I kind of want Idris Elba to play Ganondorf. I kind of want it. Like, oh, it'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool.
Talk about a man who's a good actor but has a terrible agent.
Idris Elba's weird for me because I think he's really fucking cool, but I think he's really one note, which might work for this, but to me, it would just be like, that's Idris Elba being Idris Elba. Maybe that works for Ganon and it's a mocap thing and you're really just getting the voice. I don't know. Who's Idris Elba light but has more experience like doing characters? I don't know.
You could do a lot worse.
I mean, we could get Jason Momoa or something, like you could do a lot worse, like without a doubt. Who played Guardians 3? Who is that villain?
Oh, the High Evolutionary?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that guy's fucking great.
Or who played Mordo in the Doctor Strange movies?
I cannot pronounce his name correctly.
Chiwetel Ejiofor? I probably just butchered that.
Oh, he was in Doctor Strange also? I just remember him from Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, that's
That's
wait.
Jimon Houston.
Oh, fuck. That's what I thought you were talking about.
No, and neither of them would be good picks for that role, like, at all. I don't think.
No, maybe like a secondary, like what's the mid boss?
Ganondorf has to be. He can't just be angry brute. They
No.
need to turn this character into Thanos in some way. Not only by giving him some pathos and a reason to be, but he needs to be a little more introspective and like he can't just be angry and loud and smash.
No, but he's got to have some gravitas, though. Like, I'm not going to buy fucking Jimon Houston trying to be his, like, skinny-ass, old-ass, short-ass guy trying to be, like, this menacing figure. Like, he's got to cut an imposing figure. He's got to have some...
Okay,
weight
so
to him.
Christopher Judge as Ganon. Okay, let's just fucking get it over with.
I think Jonathan Majors might have some availability.
Yeah, he's getting all his shit canceled pretty quick. We
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
can go John Bernthal or Hugh Jackman. You want to go for a more grizzled take, but you just jack him up and have him kill people. Did you ever see The Punisher, Chris?
John Bernthal was really good in The Punisher.
He was really fucking good in The Punisher.
I'm sure he was for, like, some cape shit, but, tell me you haven't seen a Hugh Jackman movie that isn't Wolverine without telling me is all I have to say if you think they're two sides of the same coin.
You telling me that John Bernthal couldn't have done a similarly shitty job singing in fucking Les Mis? Because I'm pretty sure he could have.
Oh, I didn't see that piece of shit. I didn't see that piece
Yeah,
of shit. I got no fucking
okay.
interest in that. No, go watch Enemy. Hugh Jackman's fucking great in that. Should have been nominated for an Oscar for that. He's terrific.
Who I want for Ganondorf
Tell me.
is Kumail Nanjiani.
He's such a fucking goofball, dude.
What?
You're doing a bit right now. I love that.
He'd be a great Ganondorf. I'd like that. I would want to see that.
That'd be ridiculous. He's got the physique for it now.
Dude, he got super jacked.
Yeah, that man was doing steroids. Okay, Gary Oldman.
Tore up from the floor up.
Just, he can play any character. Have Gary Oldman fucking Norbit this shit and play goddamn Link and Ganon.
Have him be the King of Hyrule. I'd love Gary Oldman, King of Hyrule.
Oh.
It could just be Adam Driver.
Dude, talk about bad fucking actors.
Okay, once
I don't know,
again.
man. Have you seen Annette?
I did not see Annette. I know that got some festival attention, but I was like, no. Adam, again, tell me you've only seen somebody in cape shit without telling me again.
I'm sorry I didn't watch the divorce movie. God.
He's fucking fantastic in Marriage Story. Fucking fantastic.
And I want to see Logan Lucky, but I just never got around to it.
No, Adam Driver's great. Adam Driver's great.
Yeah, 65 was a fucking banger hit. I love that movie.
Nobody could do popcorn films now. Nobody could do popcorn films. They're not good actors. Ah!
Sorry, what? I couldn't hear you over Chris Pratt going la 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 la. All right. Well, any other characters who, I mean, who are we really gonna go down the Zelda rabbit hole here?
We are.
It's
and
just
I'll
gonna
do
be
it.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh, fuck that. Oh, it probably
Honestly.
will be too. Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
I'll tell you honestly, the person that I think would be really fucking good in this part, who is literally never even going to get a call about this part because Nintendo is so fucking risk averse that they would not in a million years cast this person, and that's Hunter Schafer. She would be fucking perfect, but I guarantee you that because she's trans, Nintendo won't even call her. I guarantee you the studio won't even call her. Because there is a non-negligible amount of people who will refuse to see this movie and stop supporting Nintendo if they cast her in this movie. She looks the part, clearly a good actor. The work that she's done on Euphoria. I'm obviously not going to see the fucking Hunger Games warmed over bullshit they just released this year. But that'd be a great casting choice, and it's never going to happen.
I don't know who that is. But
Hunter
I know
Schafer?
that Nintendo
From
is
Euphoria?
OG fucking progressive, bro. Birdo is trans.
That's been erased. They retconned that out.
No!
It's been retconned forever.
Regressive fucks.
Yeah, but they won't do it. It sucks. Cause she's perfect. Absolutely perfect look. Good actor, extremely marketable.
Yeah, tell that to the gobs of fucking Bud Light on the store shelves I see. The only beer in stock half the time.
I'm telling you, that's why they won't do it. I'm fucking telling you, that's why they're not going to do it.
Seriously. Prepare for some serious fucking disappointment.
Wouldn't be surprised if they just got the girl who plays Ciri in The Witcher, Freya Allen. She's got a British accent. She can wear blonde.
Cut it, send it to
She's
print.
20 something. Either that or another. I'm literally just looking at like what are popular TV shows? Who's in the budget that would still have like a little bit of star power as far as like young actors? And another one popped up. The lead actor for The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina that came out on Netflix a few years back. Kiernan Shipka.
She's got the right look for sure.
Yeah, blonde waif. Cut it. Print it.
Who's the gal who played the young princess in House of the Dragon before that
Never
time
watched it.
skip? Good show. Much more seasons 1 through 4 of Game of Thrones than 4 through 8. Yeah, the gal who played the young version before the time skip, she fucking rocked it. She was so good in the role. People were shocked and angered by the time skip and the actor change. And we got like 3 or 4 weeks of people absolutely bitching and moaning about how much worse the age up actor was. She settled into the role really well. But Millie Alcock, I don't know if she has the traditional look for a character like Zelda, but she would fucking rock it.
Speaking of Millie, why don't I just do Millie Bobby Brown in there?
No.
Gosh.
Speaking of can't act.
No. Give her some fucking credit. She was really goddamn good in the newest season of Stranger Things. The best season of that show by a country mile after what had been just 4 seasons of just steady decline. I mean, the first season was the best.
Should never have had a second season.
I don't disagree. I mean, yeah, by season 3, it was off the fucking rail. I mean, they've got Russian military bases in the mall and shit. It was just like absurd 80s action bullshit. And then the newest season, they're like, okay, what if all of this shit got serious again and this became a horror show, and it had no right being as good as it was. And she was really good in her role. And you have to like understand, like they were fucking 10 years old or whatever when they got casted in this shit.
And they were good. That's what I appreciated so much about that first season is all these kids. And they're like, clearly the director is not just saying, okay, go do the thing that
And
you think
act.
is right. Exactly. Like the fucking Harry Potter kids, Daniel Radcliffe, God love him, has talked with like such an aching heart about how no one until I think the director for the 5th movie bothered to ever help him learn how to act and be a better actor, and how fucking hard that was. And the expectation then when he was getting ready to go into the industry. Anyway, yeah, they were clearly actually directing these kids. I really appreciated it.
Their personalities were way more important to those roles than anything they did technically. Like they weren't particularly good, but they were very charming and had great chemistry. But anyway, I don't think Millie Bobby Brown would be a good Zelda, but I think she has turned into a really solid young actor. Again, for a movie that is going to infuriate us beyond belief, she would probably be a fine choice.
Who will Pedro Pascal act as?
Pedro Pascal. Hey, Goro. Tell me that
Dude.
wouldn't fuck.
He'd be a sick Goron.
Yeah, dude. Why'd you do it? I don't know. Why did I do it, dude? I'm sorry. That's a little English voice cast joke for you, Chris.
You would get it if you appreciated high art.
I have to be high to appreciate that art.
Hey, amen.
The best heart is, you know what I'm saying?
Amen, brother. I just realized I may have left my stove on simmer. Let me go triple check now that we've been recording for an hour. I've got my demi-glace just sitting there, and I can't remember if I turned the stove
Your
off
demi-glace
or not.
is just blackened and crusted.
Oh, that would be heartbreaking.
Uber gloss.
I spent hours on it.
Uber gloss.
That's no demi-gloss anymore, brother.
Nope. Well, that movie's gonna be bad.
I don't know if it'll even sink to bad. I think it'll either be unremarkable or like adequate. I don't have high hopes for it, obviously, but I don't think it's going to be like a tire fire. It's just not appealing to me whatsoever. I don't know why they went with this. I don't know what the selling point is. Why do a live action Zelda movie as opposed to an animated one? Are they trying to reach an older audience? Do they think that's the target market for Zelda as far as branching it out?
I have no earthly idea other than maybe they're letting Grandpa Shig have one more before they put him out to pasture and stop letting him touch games anymore. They're like, all right, we made a fuckload of money on Mario, so we will fund your Zelda film, sink or swim. I don't know.
Yeah, Mario was bound to. That was the obvious
Yeah, but that
like
made
end result of that.
so much fucking money. I mean, I thought it would do well, but that was beyond my expectations.
Yeah, it overperformed, but I think it was easy to assume that it would do well. I don't know. I don't have an easy assumption for Zelda just because it's like, so I don't know. It's popular, but it's not nearly as big as Mario or even like Sonic, right?
Games wise, I think at this point, Zelda is
It has just now reached
more
that
of a
echelon,
flagpole.
though.
Yeah, but so then maybe that's it. Is like, this is the moment. Because if we, there's no Breath of the Wild 3, right? They're going to have to do something different. So at this exact moment, it feels like the right time to just say, fuck it, we ball, and let's see if we can make something happen. It's so interesting. We're sitting here talking about like, what other characters can we cast? And we're like, what other fucking characters exist in this game that we give a shit about that are going to show up in the movie? Impa? Depending on that'd be something we could maybe take a look at. What about
Like
Zendaya?
just an Impa or like old lady Impa? Or do we get a thirst trap Pura?
Oh, Pura should absolutely be. Oh, what is her name? Oh, I could see her in my head. God damn it! What the fuck is her name?
I can tell you're seeing it in your head.
Yeah, I'm just whiting out over here.
Show me your hands. Show me your hands.
You're really sweaty, Chris. There's one hand.
What are your thumbs doing right now?
My thumbs? What? Oh,
I
thumbing.
see you wiggling around.
Do we have any clear-cut casting ideas, or should we dive on Wonder before we end up talking for 4 hours
Yeah,
tonight?
Chris and I were just talking less about casting and more about just what characters are even Like, are they going to do the Breath of the Wild characters? They're going to do like, oh, here's a Impa, here's a, I don't know, like a Saria. Are we going to get the deeper cuts? Are we going to get Malin and Talon? Are we going to get like a Lon Lon Ranch sort of stand-in? You know, what are the places? I think the places are the easiest to sort of dial in, and there's two of the characters that represent the different places. So I think we're going to have Goron and Zora, maybe Ruto, and then I think that's the best case we get for terrifying CG amalgamations of real people. I could see that not looking good. I mean, it's easy to see that not looking good, right?
What are the odds that we do end up with a Wind Waker inspired, just like a swashbuckling pirate tale, and hire a younger? I mean, to me, I said this as far as like what would work in an anime or a cartoon. Toon Link being the most expressive, having the biggest personality amongst the links, that would probably translate better to a live action character, having to basically write a character from scratch. All these characters are going to have to be written from scratch. Could this end up just being sort of a weird pirate, like adjacent adventure tale, and would really be unrecognizable as Zelda? That might actually be kind of cool.
It could be, but I don't know if they would go that route, just because that was like it wasn't a one and done. They had like a sequel and stuff. But
do you know what I found out? And this might be not news to you, but I did not realize that the heroes in the fucking DS sequels to Wind Waker are not the same. That is not the same Link. That is like a further timeline. Those are not the same characters.
That's because Nintendo is so weird. They will say, "Oh yeah, it's not a sequel," but it is a sequel, but it's not. But it's not the same Link. But it's the exact same characters and everything. Linebeck and Zelda are the same, and there's Link. He looks the same, but it's not a sequel. But it is a sequel. It happens afterwards in the timeline because everything's still sunk. But you know, it's not a sequel. Yeah, Nintendo they retcon while they're making games. It's like they don't care about the continuity.
He's not the hero of Wind. He's the hero of Trains. He is a different Link. Canonically, the hero of Trains. How dumb is that? Fucking A.
I love video games, dude.
The hero of Trains.
Yeah, I think there's zero chance that it's a pirate movie, EJ. But that does make me think that archetypally, I think that Link could be like an Orlando Bloom-like, a la the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Yeah.
Where you have like, you know, the straight man who's just the do-gooder, very low energy as far as like being a impactful or interesting character, but everyone else around them is very interesting. So they kind of like ground things. I think that's going to be the role of Link in this movie.
Exciting. Well, not exciting. No part of me looks forward to this. I look forward to it for the memes.
Wait, no, the other thing, tedious.
Yes. I mean, of all the options out there, Avi Arad producing. Here we go. Freaking Avi-san. It's a trap. It's a fucking trap. 75-year-old ass fucking man ain't done jack shit worth watching in 30 years. God, it makes me mad.
Every success he's had has been in spite of him, not because of him.
Precisely. Listen, the Morbius memes really took off. So if his goal was to create this cancerous subculture on the internet for like 6 weeks, like he is goated in that sense.
Dude, I loved the Morbin Time movement, man. Just where people were like not really obviously clamoring like, no, bring it back to theaters, like you got it out of theaters too soon. Completely ironically goes right over the head at Sony. They put it back in theaters. It doesn't make a fucking red cent when it goes back to theaters. They canceled it. They're like, no, put it back in theaters. Like
such a good bit.
That was maybe the worst movie I've ever seen in a theater, in all seriousness.
You paid to see that, huh?
Oh, I got Regal Unlimited. I see everything.
All right. Mario Wonder. Are we going to deep dive on this? I mean, listen, if we are, that's cool. I don't think I have nearly as much to say about Mario Wonder as I did about Spider-Man. I do have the Goob rubric, as it has been redubbed, pulled up in front of me. The Goob rubric.
The Goobrick.
Good, okay, obnoxious, and bad. It makes much more sense than the Goob scale. It's the Goob rubric, really. How far along are you, Chris? Have you beaten it yet?
Nope, I haven't touched it since we talked last.
Oh, geez, Louise.
I was trying to finish Final Fantasy before Mario Wonder. That did not happen. Or before Mario RPG, excuse me. And now Tiffany and I are playing Mario RPG, which will last for like maybe another day. It's definitely not lasted through Thanksgiving break. But I'll be bringing my Switch and my dock to the cabin, and we will be playing Mario in the evening time. I'm like 3.85 worlds in. You want to take like a medium dive? I'd love to take a medium dive.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Mario game, so I feel like there's, we're not going to obviously be diving on like the deep lore of the Super Mario Bros. Universe. And as far as the Goob rubric goes, I think I only have one obnoxious and probably no bads off the top of my head. I'm sure you'll jog some things, Nick, as we talk about it, but it was just a delightful game.
It was a romp.
It was a real romp. Did you 100% Mario Wonder?
Yes. I don't think I had to beat my head up against it as hard as you did.
Not at the very, very, very end, yeah.
Not at the very, very end, but I probably, we both milked that one level for purple coins just to get the standees, which is like completely meaningless. It was just a thing to do just to get that one extra little coin under your name or whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, everything else was like just a joy to 100%. I loved playing all the levels. I loved all the challenges. It was great.
Well, let's start with the good of Mario Wonder. There's a lot of it.
I think the best of Mario Wonder is its variety.
Yes, the level diversity is number one on the G of my Goob rubric.
The level diversity, but also, like, it's not just everything's different. Like, there's obviously variations on a theme. Like, you'll get the same wonder effect, but in a new context. And that is part of the diversity is the callbacks, and still, like, the confidence to have the callback and not feel like, oh, are we retreading path here? No, it's like, no, you're doing it something completely different. This game is wildly varied. You can do the same power, but in a different, like, setting, and it feels better to do it that way. So yeah, the variety was awesome. I loved all the different Wonder Seeds transformations. The Goomba was probably the weakest, but it's still, I love anything that a game does where it in a short span of time, it takes away what you're used to doing, and then you have to navigate a familiar world, but with less of a power set. And the Goomba levels were total highlights of that.
It's the same world with a different rule set, and you're trying to on the fly figure out like, oh wait, I can't interact. I can no longer jump. I can't stomp on enemies. Like I have to interact with this.
I can't run.
You can waddle.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the Captain Toad levels to an extent in the Mario 3D World game.
This was a game. So I started it the night Spider-Man also came out.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, oh, this is delightful, and whatever. I played through Spider-Man. We talked through Spider-Man. And I didn't go back to Wonder for a week or two. And then I decided, all right, it's time to hit the grind, start doing a few levels per night. And of course, I am not a get to the end of the level and go back kind of guy. I try to do everything in one run if I can. And there are a lot of times where you have to go back and replay a level to find something that like, oh shit, I knew who this was, but I couldn't backtrack to it or whatever. But I got so deep into this 100% grind. And to me, I need that carrot on the end of the stick to really enjoy a platformer. No matter how fun the mechanics are, no matter how good it feels, it doesn't matter to me. I do not want to just run from point A to point B and call it good. Like I need that grind of whether it's the coins or the stars or the stamps or whatever a Mario game has. And this game, to me, one of the best about this game was the balance that they achieved in those collectibles, other than standees, which are obnoxious. But as far as just like, all right, you've got a Wonder Seed, you've got a Wonder Seed at the end of the level, you've got 3 coins you're chasing, and occasionally you'll get a little secret, whether that is a secret exit or whatever. Great. Totally bite-sized, totally manageable, enough where you're thinking through, like, where could these secrets be in this level, but you're not beating your head. Like, I didn't have to look anything up in this game. And there was only 1 or 2 instances where I was, like, irritated trying to find something. It was just enough to make you think. And sometimes, like, for example, there was a level, that first level with the hippos, and you're trying to, like, bounce the hippos into the gaps. And there's just one gap where you bounce on the hippo if you can maneuver into the right gap, and you bounce up into the sky, and boom, hidden area, you find a coin. That floored me. I was not because I didn't realize. I was like, oh, I wonder if I can just like bounce all these fuckers over and see how far I can bounce these. And I inadvertently filled all those gaps up and bounced up, and I was like, whoa, wait, what? That to me, that balance of I constantly was like, man, I got to get back in and grind a few levels out. Boom, knock off 3, 4, 500%, put it down, come back to it tomorrow night. And that loop, which, even a game like Mario 3D World, which I think is probably my favorite Mario game, like it becomes a little bit of a grind after a while. And not that Mario Wonder didn't. Towards the end, I was finally like ready for the game to be over. And I'll deep dive on that experience, my last night with the game. But it always just kept me coming back for more. And now I'm like, man, I'm playing through Mario RPG right now. And I'm just like, it is not scratching that itch for me the way that I was hitting Wonder every single night, almost to the point that I busted out my copy and updated my copy of New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe U or whatever, thinking I'm gonna dive into that. I didn't have the heart. But
if you do, you should definitely talk about it on the podcast, because that's a game I have not really played. I've played maybe a level or two and don't remember a single thing about it. So it would be very, very interesting to have your newfound context versus Mario Wonder, because there was a lot of discourse about whether or not it would actually be a market difference from the previous 2D Mario games, notably by yourself. So I would like to know if that holds up.
I am curious just for that context, but also I'm now chasing the high that Wonder gave me, which a platformer has not given me in a while. And we talked about Kirby and the Forgotten Land earlier this year, and I thought that game was really well designed. It's a beautiful game, but I don't know if it's just because it's like level length or the amount of times you find yourself sort of going off the beaten path that I find more tedious. Whereas in Mario Wonder, it was a much more linear experience, which some people may knock it for, but it's a 2D Mario game. It's inherently very different than a 3D platformer where you're incentivized with exploring.
Well, in like 4 or 5 years when they put out Kirby's Forgotten Land plus DDD's Fury or whatever,
right,
and they increase the movement speed by 25%, then maybe you'll actually come back and play it and enjoy it. I do think Kirby is that is always my one knock to Kirby, is that it's so slow.
It is slow. But on the other hand, I thought 3D World, to me, the movement speed increase in 3D World completely unraveled that experience for me. Just the way you're interacting with the platforming and some of the puzzles now, you're out of control. You're way too fast. Way too fast.
Yeah, it should be like an option that you can toggle it back to the OG speeds, but still keep like the ground pound cancel dive that they imported from Odyssey, because I love mobility options. And speaking of mobility options, that was something I also really thought was in the good pile for Wonder, is the badges and all the different abilities that you can sort of tack on for a level, and you don't lose them by getting hit by a Koopa. You still get your double jump, you still get your second wall jump, your hat float, whatever you want. And it really changes the way you approach the game, to the point where it's like, oh, they give you these challenges where you have to use the specific badge. You're like, man, I'm so used to playing this game with my other power that this is like a completely different game now.
Right.
So I really appreciated those.
Chris, what is your favorite badge so far? I know you haven't unlocked them all, but I know you've got a favorite.
Oh, it's the hat, man. It's the hat.
That's busted.
It is. Well, it is and it isn't at the same time. It is so useful just to get that little extra juice and just that half second of hesitation. Like, I loved in 3D World that with Luigi, I had my flutter kick, because it meant that I could have just enough like goose to a jump that if I needed to adjust, I could adjust. And I feel similarly about the hat, that it is a wonderful, incredibly functional safety blanket that is not so broken that you just like float forever. I appreciate the fact that pretty precipitously after the initial glide, you're just going to drop straight down. Your momentum runs out from the drag, I guess, of the hat.
Hat drag, it's real.
Holding you up. Yeah, I don't know. So definitely the hat. I have also used the it's not a double jump, but the like midair like twirl kick.
The spin boost.
Yeah, the spin boost has been nice for some levels.
That was my goated number one.
But it's super useful.
I love how a lot of them are kind of callbacks to previous game mechanics. So the hat float is very reminiscent to me of Peach's float from Mario 2 and the Mario 3D World iteration of her. There is a flutter kick that is similar to the way Luigi handled in Mario 2. There is a crouching tall jump that is
It's great.
like a total throwback to Mario 2. I guess some of the more unique ones, like the wall jump ability that allows you to like kick upwards on the same wall and then get a huge like vertical boost that way. Like there's certain, like the challenge level for that was fantastic. Like that was a definite highlight in that final slog, that gauntlet you get put through.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dolphin kick, actually making underwater levels fun to navigate through. Yeah, it was just, all of them are really great.
It's nice that it gives you options if there's a particular attribute you think you need a little boost for. I mean, like wall jumping in this game, one of the few things on my bad list is a few aspects of the controls. Wall jumping is one of the things that just feel fucking terrible in this game. And so I don't want to have to deal with the wall jumping. So just give me a do-over basically with that badge. Although the hat gives you infinite wall jumps. And the thing about the hat to me, and the spinning boost jump is good, but I found so many times where just the grace that the hat afforded me where I could correct a mistake just because I was able to either infinitely wall jump or just float over an enemy where I mistimed my jump and oh shit, I'm about to lose my power up if I land, but I can just tap the hat. And so it just gave me a lot more freedom to play sort of fast and loose. You know, I'm a gunner, you know, and I am no Mario speedrunner. Like, you know, I play too fast and loose. It gets me killed a lot. Like I am very mid at platformers like this, but I like being able to just run through it and having that freedom to make mistakes. To me, the hat was so far and above the the best fucking badge in this game, and you get it first. And it's crazy to me. And I know that there are a lot of things about this game that make it total easy mode, like Yoshi and Nabbit aside, like even just turning online on and now being able to have like a free save, you know, by interacting with people online. Like the game can be made very, very easy if you want it to be. But yeah, having those options is really great. Maybe there's an argument to be made that, like, again, if you're catering to like the lowest common denominator, like maybe that holds you back some in like your design choices. And on my I talk a little bit about power-ups and like wasn't in love with the power-ups in this game. Like what you did with the Wonder Seed was always way cooler than anything you ever did with a power-up. The power-ups were just kind of there. Like the drill.
I like the drill a lot. The drill is really cool.
I love it for ceiling traversal and how you can kind of pop in, pop out, and like gives you a new dimension to how you can interact with enemy types.
Right.
Which, like, holy shit, we finally got some new enemy types. Interesting enemy types that really made...
The enemy variety is strong in the good.
It is so strong. And that's the biggest thing to me where I'm like, okay, are we getting New Super Mario Bros. Wonder or are we getting Super Mario Bros. Wonder? I played New Super Mario Bros. Wii and New Super Mario Bros. Wii U to full completion. Literally don't remember a single level of either of them because they are so fucking samey. It has been a little bit of time, admittedly, but still, not one level? Really? Not one level I can remember from those. And I could list you like 3-4 3D World levels right now that were really memorable. The enemy variety is so awesome. And again, just making you think about the way you interact with the level differently, how you could turn enemies into traversal tools, and how you have to really think about, do I want to just like murk everything in sight with that bubble flower? Or do I want to think about like, okay, I'm probably going to need to bounce off of this guy to get up there. That's like the number one reason that Tiffany and I have had to rerun levels is not being able to communicate fast enough in real time where I'm like, what? And then we just like kill everything and we can't get where we need to go anymore because we can't bounce off of the little like birdie drill that sticks into the wall anymore. That's great. And they all have a really nice flair to them that I'm just like, you're a cool little swoopy bird thing. Like, I like you and you're interesting. And thank God it's not just a fucking Paracoopa, like flapping down for me to bounce on again.
Yeah. And a lot of that I think comes down to just the level of detail and the intense creativity they show with the small animation touches and the sound effects. Like if you think to like when you're about to stomp on a Goomba, they look terrified. You kill the one to the neck, like to the right of it will be like, oh no, what just happened to my friend?
Oh no.
The Koopas, when they run into each other, they like look to the camera and then they turn around and they like everything just is like it's very animated and that really adds to it. I think that is where some of the downfalls are. Like it's when they don't have enough attention to that detail. Like EJ, the wall jumps. I think there's not a clear enough tell to when you're able to jump off the wall. It's not soon enough. It doesn't let you know. So you think it's immediate, but then you're not sliding off the wall yet, so you can't do your jump. And that's like where that disconnect happens, where you think, oh, as soon as I touch the wall, I can jump off it. But there is a delay that they don't visualize, and that's like the one. It stands out so much more when it's the one thing they don't animate clearly.
It's frustrating, man. Honestly, feeling like I have to smash myself into the wall. And Tiff's she's a Mario 64 girly, so she's like, I don't fucking get how this wall jumping works. Does not fucking get it. Because you make like 1 pixel of contact in Mario 64 and you're wahoo right off of that bitch in the direction that you need to go. But you have to smash yourself. And some of those really fucky 5-star challenges in the special world, I'm thinking of the one where the acid is rising the entire time and the tempo.
Boop, boop, boop.
Yep, and the tempo is getting faster and faster as the blocks are spawning in time to the music, and you have to do a series of single block wall jumps. Almost ended my marriage. I'm exaggerating, but I was like, Jesus Christ, like this is so frustrating. Like I am dying in this level not because of my own inability to execute this correctly, but because of the fact that this system is just not 100% of what it needs to be for how important it is to the game. So don't skill issue me, assholes.
No, EJ and I also had to go to couples therapy after playing that level. We got through it. It's okay. It was on
We did too.
There.
I'm glad for y'all.
We made it. It's fine.
I'm not going to have to hear dad and dad fight on the 27th.
The Thai food helped.
That's great.
I think we mentioned it in the last podcast, but playing that level without a partner was a lot easier. But yeah, there are just moments where you think you have that stick at the right angle, or you're jumping off at the right time, and you're not, and you fall to your doom.
I think it was the right level of frustrating where it felt like we can do this, we can overcome this challenge. We see the end of the tunnel. We got to do this. Where it turned into, I think it was more fun playing that level with you than it would have been playing it by myself. Like it would have been easier if I played it by myself, and it probably still would have been fun. But that's a memorable moment. That's a moment I will always remember from this game, is playing that level with you, EJ.
Oh man.
like that's like literally that's like up there with Double Dash, with like, I think that's going to be like an all-timer.
We played it for like half an hour, but we were giggling like fucking school children. Everything, we would die in just the most ridiculous way, just fucking lose it. So that was a lot of fun.
I think it took about a half hour for us too.
The online component for this game, which Chris, you haven't really experienced yet because you're only doing local co-op. Is that right?
Yeah, I have no interest in it. We turned it on for one take a break level that we couldn't find. The one where all the blocks are invisible and it's like, you may have to come back with other characters. And I'm like hell I will. So I turned on the online so we could see where people were going that we hadn't thought of. But other than that, nope, it's been off the whole time. I don't want the hints. I don't want the standees. I just want Tiffany and I and our dedication to Mario bullshittery.
The craft.
That's fair. No easy roads for you.
I'm no Dark Souls gamer, but I do want to be more challenged than having a stream of ghosties give me every nook and cranny of the level. Like no disrespect, honest to God, to anybody who wants to play that way, because I know that it makes it a lot easier to find the things you need to find. But that's not me. We want to find it ourselves. I don't think Tiffany would respect me as much if I was like, let's just turn this on and they could see it. She'd probably just put the controller down and walk out.
Meanwhile, you always have a permanent revive on every level you ever play. So let's talk about the high road here.
I cannot control the way that they design cooperative play, but I can control what hints I have and I don't have.
I won't churn easy mode on this Mario game made for children.
Yeah, speaking of which, EJ, when are we deep diving your abandonment of actually completing this game?
Oh, we'll get there. We will get there. Nick, you played with the online the entire time, correct?
Yeah, it was totally fun. A lot of the time, like, I was saving people. I was the one that people were following. I would like leave standees on invisible blocks that my character discovered because I was playing as Luigi the entire game.
Wahoo!
all the other characters have different movement?
They all have the same movement.
Yeah, it's the same.
Same movement, same hitbox, same everything, except for the easy mode characters
Right,
who have their
right.
own little weird quirks. But
Ouija is
yep,
best.
all the same, just different voice actors, same voice lines even too. Like they all say "Wowie Zowie," which is like, I thought that was Luigi's thing. I thought he was original, but nope, Daisy says it too. Damn. But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun. It was always really entertaining to see like the ghosts of people dying. It's like, oh, I know what they died to. I didn't die to it, but they died, and that's funny. So like, I'll give him a hand. It's probably some kid who's just got Mario for his birthday or whatever. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was very, it was just jolly and cozy.
I mean, literally, I was running these levels with people, and the interaction you have where, you know, you find a secret and you drop a standee, or someone drops a standee for you, or you're running a hard level together and you guys are leapfrogging each other and dropping each other's standees, and it's a little easy
You're
mode.
like waiting for each other. It's like, okay, we're both going to do this jump at the same time. You're like crouching and like trying to like
Right.
communicate with like
Yes.
the little smiley faces and stuff. It's like, okay, let's do this together. So if you die, I can catch you. If I die, you can catch me. Yeah, it turns into a very just sort of, I don't know, obviously you get people griefing you, and you'll probably talk about that with the extra hard levels too, but I mean that's just part of the game, baby.
I know.
That's just people. That's just strangers on the internet. That they're not griefing you, they're not telling you like nice shot, they're not, you know, Rocket League baiting you with like canned voice lines. Just like, oh, you know, they're just avoiding me, and they're having a fun time, and I'm having a fun time being mad at this person for being a douche.
Yeah, there was a lot of anger towards the end of this game, but just having that connection with these strangers, and I'm someone who fucking complained about this online, that there is not proper online co-op for this game. I really was bummed by it when I found that out, and I think I found that out live on the podcast here. I am shocked at how fun it was to actually play with people who couldn't interact with your enemies or you, really, other than to drop a standee and revive you, or drop you a power-up. You could drop people power-ups, which was very cool. And so, like, sort of that glimpse through that two-way mirror, you know, and have those brief moments of interaction was really fucking cool. And every time it happened, I was stoked on it. It was a really cool attribute that I've not seen a game really do like this. So I take back what I said. It was great. I am happy to have played with the online on, despite how much easier it did make the game. And it did. There are a few levels where I only survived because I was able to ghost to someone who had cleared the obstacle I died to. And as I'll talk about in the final badge level, I only beat that because I happened to be in a fucking run after hours and hours and probably 100 lives. I was in a run where somebody just happened to be with me and beat it right as I died, and I was able to get over to him, and I was like, holy shit. So again, a cop out. I fucking copped out. I don't give a shit. I did it. It was over.
Hey, I mean, you still could have totally just biffed it on getting the top of the flagpole, and you would have had to do it again. That would have been hilarious.
I thought about that too. I remember when I got up to the end of that, and Sarah's sitting me. She's been with me all night. My frustrations, because I would die, and I just at the first it was like fuck, and then it was like growls, and then it was just like, oh please, like I'm begging,
man.
Pleading
with the Mario gods, please, I just want to be done with this
Miyamoto-san,
game.
please.
Anything, I'll do anything.
End of the suffering, Kudasai.
Oh man, so that is. I mean, that's any other good you guys want to mention that we haven't talked about before maybe we get into some of the more obnoxious stuff?
The humor or the quirkiness, I guess, like of just how unhinged they let the developers be on this game, just cut loose. And it really seemed like anybody that had an idea, they're just like, great, we're going to do it. Of course, we've talked about the Piranha Plant, you know, singing on the pod previously, which is still amazing. But, you know, getting the one that turns it into, and we just did this one a little while ago, that immediately flips you into a top-down perspective on the like background tiles. I'm like, whoa, wait, what the fuck? And now I can't like jump or use powers or anything. The different creatures you've talked about, like that's been so neat. Like King Boo singing an opera in the haunted house. Like it's just kooky. Like it really brought the weird back to Mario that I haven't really seen even since like maybe Mario 3, where you have like the sun kamikaze dive bombing you and it's all a play and you can see like the
For
bolts.
one level.
You can see like the bolts and like the wires holding up all the set pieces, and you get off stage to the right and it's just you like exit stage right kind of thing. Like, I don't know. Mario hasn't been weird in a really long time, and Mario is weird again. And I'm so happy that Mario is weird again.
There was always something new and weird, like Yoshi being a fucking dragon, or the level where you're wall jumping off of the platforms that are rotating, so you're getting like a boost as you like try to fly up them, or like the floating space level where you just fucking take an acid trip and you're slowly floating through space and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Or dude, the first time I went full silhouette, I was like, what?
Oh yeah, that is
What?
so good. Even if, Donkey Kong Country Returns did it first to great effect.
You don't get stretched out really tall and weird in Donkey Kong Country, though.
And if you drop down, all the trees drop down with you and like shake things out of it. I was like, ah!
They're always finding new ways to get you to interact with the world where it's not just like this linear run, jump, stomp on enemy, hit flagpole. Like, and in the silhouette levels, you have those like platforms that have eyeballs and they crawl based on which direction you're facing. If I was running this without the Wonder Seed, this would be a completely different level. But you turn the Wonder Seed on and get those little creepy guys moving. And now the way you interact with this and get to the end of the level is completely different. Keeping things as fresh as it was level to level, to me, that's amazing. Like, it's hard to do. And like, and some people maybe complain about this, but I didn't feel like every world had its own identity. But I liked that. Every level I jumped into was different. It had its own thing. It wasn't like, okay, now we're in the ice world and every fucking level has the same background. Like I said last week, like, yeah, maybe you lose a little bit of character in like how they theme the levels in a given world. The overworld has enough personality that I just don't think it matters that much. To me, having my ADHD constantly, like, I've always got something new to latch onto, and that was really fucking cool.
You get a little bit of continuity, but yeah, it's not as heavily overt. Like I think of the desert where there's a few different levels that are like, oh, here's some slow down, speed up kind of water seed effects, and some more like hidden, going through doors and like navigating a more maze-like kind of structure. Or when you're underground, you could turn into the spike ball. There's more. It's themed underground, so you have more mine or the drill hat levels. But yeah, totally. I think that it doesn't suffer from not having a like strong. Here's the lava level. Like there are lava levels. There are also just like regular ass levels in the lava area.
Lava.
It's hard to say lava level. Other standout things that I want to say as being good is I liked the final boss fight against Bowser. I thought that was a good boss fight. And I really liked the credit sequence. And I will not go into it more, but I thought it was a very good credit sequence.
Agreed. I was really trying to... Again, I don't want to spoil anything. I thought there might be a reward at the end of the credit sequence, so...
Oh, I never for a moment thought there was, but it's just pure like victory lap. Like, it's just joyous. It is the final paragraph on a thesis of surprise and delight. It just totally sums it up.
Absolutely. Let's talk about a few of the annoying things. We did mention, Chris, you're good. I don't think you're good.
He's gonna listen to this podcast anyway, and we didn't spoil anything.
Yeah, we didn't spoil anything.
Cooper.
Just talk shit about me. Consequences free for 45 seconds.
We do that when you're listening too.
Yeah, I'll talk shit right to your fucking face. I ain't worried about it.
To this face.
This beautiful face.
EJ, I don't know about you, but I don't think there's anything in this game that is okay. It's only good and obnoxious.
Yeah. Other than what I had to say about the wall jumps, and further to that point, the ground pound being bound to down on the D-pad when you're in the air, and also a trigger. I constantly would try to maneuver mid-air, left or right, and I would just be at the just the correct angle to inadvertently ground pound. That fucking annoyed the shit out of me for hours.
They have some. I mean, that's like a built-in to every Nintendo game. Like there should be more options for button bounding. But I think there is some options for what your buttons do, and I can't remember if that was one of them.
I
think there was one. There was one where you could only you turn off the A or not A, but X spin jump and have that only be bound to the right bumper or something. I can't remember what the full breadth of those are, but yeah, that's obviously obnoxious, not being able to change your button inputs to exactly how you want them. That is a forever Nintendo problem.
Putting it both on the D-pad or the stick, putting on a direction and on a bumper, or I don't know if it was the bumper or the trigger, whatever, but like, why the redundancy? And in a game where it's all about like precision platforming, the fact that I would just randomly hit down on accident because I was not at completely the proper angle, like I'm diagonal, but I'm more down than I am left apparently in the game. Like that to me, that's bad. That is just, there's no reason, options aside, there's no reason for it to be bound to both fucking things anyway. And the fact that it was as inaccurate as it was, and maybe that was just me fat thumbing the stick instead of using a D-pad. But to me, the stick just made more sense for this game than a D-pad.
Equivalent of stick jumping in Smash Bros. For sure. Like, this does not need to be here. No one's benefiting from this.
Right. And at least you can turn that off.
Let it be an option. Yeah. Now you can.
Now you
back
can.
in the day.
Yeah.
Oof.
Are you a stick jump guy?
God, no.
No.
I don't like fighting games. Why would I stick jump?
That's fair. Obnoxious. Standees.
Was going to say it if you didn't. I hate the fact that I'm probably not going to 100% this game because I will not grind coins in this game. That's when I stopped playing Mario Odyssey, is when they asked me to grind coins to finish the game. I was like, I don't fucking care. I don't care anymore. Goodbye. I'm done. So I will not be 100%ing this game in all likelihood because I don't give a shit. That's bad design.
It's irritating that they don't telegraph that sooner, because if you play the game and if you knew the economy and you don't spend your purple coins on anything except for standees from the one guy in the special world, you'll never have to grind special coins. Like, there's no reason to ever buy lives in this game, ever, until the very, very, very end of the game, because losing all your lives, you only lose progress in the level you died on. Like, you don't lose anything. There's no reason to ever spend currency on lives. So it's irritating that you're like playing the standee lottery and getting duplicates and you're spending money on lives because we're monkey brains who want to see that 99 in the corner. And then you get halfway through the game and I realize, oh my God, I am not going to have enough purple coins because they're not worth 10 anymore. They're worth 3 when I replay a level. And so I'm not going to have enough to get all these goddamn standees at 30 coins a pop. And so that's why I was like desperately texting you, Chris, like, don't spend your money on anything, Chris, or you're not going to 100% the game. Don't do it.
No, you still have to grind even if you spend them like a normal person.
I only had to grind for like about an hour total, but like that's an hour of just running the same level over and over. That's crazy.
I did for a half an hour.
The standees are annoying because you can't even like choose, like, oh, I unlocked my favorite standee and this is going to be my standee. It's always random and they have no real effect on the game except for other players. I could have done without that.
Yeah, and it's like a completion percentage thing without like an actual completion percentage thing. It's just that there's a maximum of 6 medals that you can have underneath your name, and you can only get the 6th one if you get all the standees. So it's like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of monkey brain kind of response. But yeah, there's no point in actually getting all of them. Just don't worry about it. Don't fall into that trap.
Well, and I say that like, oh, I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't 100% this fucking game, right? I had to get that little check mark by my save file.
The Nintendo Platinum.
Exactly. But then it's like, did you really beat the game because you played online and you cheesed a few levels? Listen, I played this whole game front to back until Bowser's World with Mario and only Mario. I got to Bowser's World and I thought I was just going into, this might be a little spoilery, Chris, slightly. I thought I was going directly into a boss fight, but you're going into another world. I had been playing all day. This is like a Sunday night. And I'm just like, finally, I'm about to go beat the game. I'm going to go fight Bowser. It's going to be a fun little half hour, whatever. No, there's a whole fucking world you have to go through. And so I beat the first world, 100% of it as Mario. And I was like, I have to beat this game tonight. I do not want to. I'm done. I'm done with Mario. I've gotten my fill. So I said, fuck it. I'll just run as Yoshi. Like, whatever. Like, I've gotten this far with Mario. I clearly am going to beat the fucking game. I'm not like worried about like get good or like, oh, I'm not going to feel like I really beat it. I'm quitting not because of difficulty, but because I'm irritated and I'm ready for it to be over. So I get through Bowser's World. I beat Bowser, which was a cool boss fight, by the way, which I won't spoil. But then you unlock the final badge challenge. And where I thought I might have had half an hour left, I had 4 hours left. I played this game until midnight. nonstop, no breaks. I just grinded. I had literal thumb, like this tendon here underneath the thumb. I was sore the next day from holding the damn button down on that controller just viciously. So whatever, take points off the board for EJ for copping out at the last 5 levels of the game. It was irritating. The final badge level, which took me like almost 100 lives to fucking complete, I couldn't play as Yoshi because if you get hit with Yoshi, even though he doesn't take damage, he staggers. Just Nick on that very first challenge of the final badge challenge, where you're just floating with the cap and floating down.
It's so easy.
It should be, but I kept getting like I would just get touched by the thing and I would stagger and I couldn't catch my cap in time. Well, I know. If you're Mario and you touch the thing, you just blink for a second and lose your power up, but you don't stagger, you don't move. So Yoshi would get hit and instantly fall into the lava and die. And lava will kill you, even though you don't take damage. So I was like, okay, I can't play as a fucking character who's supposed to be invincible because he staggers and I die every time I get hit. So then, I had to go back and run it.
As Nabbit instead.
Does Nabbit,
Nabbit doesn't stagger.
What's the damn difference? Is that the only difference? Why have Yoshi's not take damage and Nabbit not take damage? Is that just the only differentiator?
Nabbit doesn't stagger. Nabbit doesn't have a special jump. Yoshi has a special jump. Yoshi does stagger. And Yoshi can carry characters.
Oopsie doodle.
Okay. Well, that final level, I know, Nick, you didn't struggle with it like I did.
I mean, it took me like 30 lives, but...
And thankfully you had those lives. I was running at 5 lives at a time.
Well, I still had 99 when I bought 99 from playing that level with you.
Right.
Because when you're dying 2 people at a time, lives go by twice as fast.
Yeah, and Tiff and I will just suicide if we know that we missed a coin, but we have a checkpoint, rather than rerunning the level. And nope, just jump in a pit. I don't want to rerun the whole level.
Well, Nick, you said they were pretty generous with the checkpoints in that final level.
Every 3 challenges, and there's a total of 12, I want to say.
Until the last one, there's 4 challenges after the checkpoint. And the final fucking one was the invisibility badge. And dude, that was the one that gave me the most grief. Hours and hours spent just running that last checkpoint, the 4 levels, until you get to the invisibility. And I could not fucking do it. And I only beat it because, again, I cheesed the Yoshi at the end who was in front of me. Like, I could not. I mean, I was doing every strat short of putting a piece of tape on my TV.
I mean, that would only help you so much because the camera shifts depending which direction you're facing. You gotta just feel it, man.
I was spamming the little spin jump so I could always see where he was, because when you're invisible, you still see the little spin. And then I was having Sarah come over and I was like, all right, Sarah, just tap Y or X, the spin jump button repeatedly for me while I like navigate this level so I can always see where I am. But that didn't work because if you're holding run, you can't also hit the tap button. So I had to manually like jump tap just to kind of see where I was. And I would get to that second half of that invisibility level and I would just set the controller down and breathe. I'm like, okay, all right. I just have to bounce on these little fucking balloon bitches and then I'm good. And inevitably I would mistime that first jump. I was in a blender.
Do you want to say it, Nick?
He was just folding like a cheap lawn chair.
Chris, I want to see how long it takes you, okay? Before you talk about fucking skill issues.
Sounds like, you skill issued yourself. Thanks, homie. I was like, I don't even have to do it.
Nick, you just first shot at the invisibility. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had to retry a lot of the other levels or the other challenges several times, especially trying to get all the purple coins, like the self wall jump level. To the point though, I love failing and then getting to retry it really quickly, which this game is really, really great about. You get so fast to come back in. Very appreciate that. But I love retrying a level and seeing myself learn from my mistakes and then get better and better and better. Like I love that so much. It tickles all of the synapses in my brain. So retrying them and then just like having that perfect run and be like, yeah, just feeling like a goddamn pimp rules.
Dude, that Mario Maker just instantaneous.
That's the grind, brother. That's the grind.
That's what I wanted. And as frustrated as I was with that last level, I was so juiced up on it. The next night, I was running it while my brother was just starting Mario Wonder. I was waiting for him to open a lobby for me. And I just went and ran that final badge challenge, got to the very last checkpoint with Mario, and was like, all right, I'm going to try and just beat this again. Just like, because my monkey brain loves it. I love it.
You want that pain. You want that stick.
I wish there was more. I wish there was more of that in this game. And that's my only, man, I wish they'd done a little more in that regard. But it's a fun, breezy kids game, so I can't really complain.
Did you have any other obnoxious on the goob scale?
It's less obnoxious. It's obnoxious, I guess, but I wish, I wanted more power-ups, which we mentioned. The power-ups were fine. The elephant was cool, and some of the animations were cute, and it was fine, and just being a tank is cool. But I just wish there were more power-ups, probably. I don't know, but I can't really fault the game for what it's not doing. It does so much well. But that's
and the
it.
badges totally fill that role for me, at least.
But see, for me, the hat was so good. I was like, I don't care about the other badges. This is canon to the mechanics of this game at this point with the hat for me. So
you remember in I can't remember which Call of Duty it was. It was probably Modern Warfare 2 or 3, maybe Black Ops. There was a weapon with a sub attachment that was colloquially called the noob tube.
The noob tube.
It was like a little rocket propelled grenade. It was very easy to get cheap kills. The hat is the noob tube of Mario Wonder.
Totally. Oh yeah.
It's not that good, but it'll make you feel like you're good if you're just trying to have a good time. And they gave you that hat right off the jump, right off the rip for a reason. And I love that for you. For me, it didn't do it for me. It was a little too slow. It felt like I was delaying the inevitable. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it right and I want to do it fast. And the hat didn't conduce with that play style. My number one obnoxious is the search party levels. I thought they were bad. They were boringly designed. They were not anything that Mario Wonder excels at. It was tedious, and I never found any enjoyment in them.
Sometimes they would throw a curveball at you, something mechanically that isn't in any other level in any other game. I'm like, oh, why would I assume that I have to clip partially out of bounds to push this pipe out of the way? Why would I ever do that? This game never asked me to do that. Why would I have assumed that I could do it here?
Yeah, and they are made simpler by playing online and seeing other people do the thing, but that defeats the purpose of having a puzzle level. They're supposed to be puzzle levels, but they're not puzzle levels. They're just sort of ram your head against everything until you find the coin, and then you get the seed, and then you're done. They were not. I mean, even the nothing levels that are the take a break levels where you're just jumping around playing music notes and hitting blocks, where they filled their purpose. They were just a fun little homage, oh, this one's playing Sunshine music. Isn't that fun? Yes, it was fun. I liked that. But yeah, the search party levels were, I don't know if I would put them in obnoxious or bad, but they were not for me. I did not like them.
Chris, anything else you want to touch on?
Not yet. I'm really enjoying myself. I can't decide how I feel about World 3 having no boss. I can't decide if I actually believe that that's interesting, that it was these are all little challenge type levels with this little guru guy who's going to give you the royal seed because you've cleared all of them, or if I felt like that was lazy and they couldn't think of a boss for that. So I'm split. It's somewhere between the O's for me.
Every boss in this game until Bowser is the same boss, more or less, with a slightly different gimmick. And there are a couple worlds that don't have bosses at all. And so I think it's just meant to sort of be a break, and some of the levels are the fungi mines, I think, really short world. Really, an hour. I beat that whole 100% of that whole area in an hour. But then the fucking Bowser's, the world 6, bro, never fucking ended. There was always something new to go. Fuck, I haven't got the green check mark yet. There's got to be some shitty little world hidden off in a corner somewhere. God damn. Nick, your favorite part of any video game discussion. How would you rate this on a scale of 1 to 100?
I think it accomplishes everything it's trying to do. There were obviously some gripes, the search party levels, but all in all, that's one level that you don't even have to do. But you kind of do have to do it because you got to complete it, because that's the point of the game, is to play everything in it. So that does knock it. I don't know. I'd say a 95.
95. Wow.
Yeah, that was a great ass game, dude. It didn't overstay its welcome for me. It was just a nice, satisfying meal. My compliments to the chef.
I wish I had a list in front of me of the games that I've officially given a numerical score to.
Oh yeah, we're just playing fast and loose. We have the Goobrick, but we do not have an actual metric in which we are measuring these things against.
And so I'm did I give Tears of the Kingdom an 89 versus...
Yes, you did.
An 80 or an 85 for Breath of the Wild. And then Spider-Man, I know I gave an 86, and then Miles Morales I gave an 87, and I think I gave Spider-Man 2 an 8, just around 80. And I'm like, to me, this is obviously a very different game than Tears of the Kingdom. I was more addicted to Mario Wonder, I guess, but I don't know if I liked it more than Tears of the Kingdom. So I think I'm just gonna hedge here and go 89 on Mario Wonder. It doesn't quite cross into the 90s for me as being like it was a very fun experience, and I got into the grind pretty heavy, but I don't know. Does it cross? To me, like, once you get in the 90s, that's just like, that's Pantheon territory. I'm like, is this going to make my top 10 video games ever? Is it in the conversation? To me, to be in the 9s, you have to at least be in the conversation of like, how does this stack up against this other favorite game of mine? I don't know.
Just depends on how you're rating it. If you're rating it like 0 to 100 for what EJ likes,
right?
Then yeah, is that a different scale than what you think is the quality of the game? Like,
right.
Do you like it more than any Spider-Man game? But is it better than any? Like, those are two different questions.
Right,
so
right, totally.
It's weird. That's why we need to have a metric maybe eventually and figure that out.
It's in process. It's in process. Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like, man, I don't know about that as a scale for a game that you have literally nothing in the bad column and one thing that is fairly superfluous to the entire experience in the obnoxious column. That's an 89 for you? Like, that's wild. What would it take for it to be a 90 if you have almost nothing to complain about it?
The goods have to rise up and be like really good.
Right.
I think it's not just like a simple math equation of like it starts at 100 and then you start knocking points until it gets to the score that sounds right. It's like it has to rise up.
Do its highs match up to a 95 that I've given? You know, like does its highs match the highs of this other game in a similar tier? And I think its highs are like good. Like I wasn't blown away. I was tickled. I had fun sort of chasing that 100%. And for a little context, I did go back and play Super Mario World on the NSO, and dude, that game kind of had me in a blender for a minute. I was like, oh man, I'm so used to how modern Mario feels now that I'm like really struggling to be precise in this game, and I am dying to the dumbest shit. I was better at this game when I was 6 than I am at 31, apparently. So anyway, yeah, it's like Nick said it's not a direct equation here. Its highs were good. They weren't that good, you know what I'm saying? So it's pushing that territory of like, dude, this is a really fucking good game for me. It's just like this was a very quality experience, but isn't pushing like Pantheon territory. Not that everything in the 90s has to push Pantheon territory. There's only room for 10 games.
This feels like some Letterboxd ass shit, man, where you're like, well, we literally can't know if it's going to be an all-time great for 40 years, so 4 stars.
That's
like,
dumb.
But that's kind of what you're saying is that I don't know if it's a Pantheon title.
He just said 89. I don't know. That seems like a really, really good score to me.
Middling on Chris's
and it's
scale.
The same thing in like, you know, I'm thinking back to the what was that gaming magazine?
Oh, with the faces or
no, god damn it. I had so many issues of this.
It wasn't Game Informer or like
no, it was. It's the one that Sean Baby had a column for every single month. What the fuck magazine was that?
Yeah, that sounds really familiar. I've heard the name Sean Baby uttered by people.
God damn it, whatever. But they did not give 10 out of 10 to anything. And it was a similar hill that they decided they were going to die on for a long time, where they're like, that suggests there is nothing wrong with this game.
That was EGM, brother.
EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly. Oh, I love the magazine. Yeah, that they were like, they're like, we will not give 10 out of 10s because it suggests that this is a perfect experience and the perfect experience doesn't exist. And after a certain amount of time, they were like, this is stupid.
Yeah, actually, that's a bad.
There are going to be games that are so unimpeachably excellent that the things that we have to hold against them are minor enough that they almost don't factor. And they redid their scale to go on for their 1 through 10 scale went to 11. They did the Spinal Tap meme. They were like, that is the perfect game. That will never exist. But a 10 out of 10 absolutely can exist. And they started giving 10 out of 10s, and rightfully so. So that's where I'm kind of like, you want to talk Pantheon, I'm talking like mid 90s and higher. But a 90 is just like, that's a damn good game with almost nothing in the red in its ledger. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to rate this because I'm not fucking done with it yet. But I will say I'm having a great ass time. And I have almost nothing to complain about this title, which to me says a 9. First digit being a 9 is probable.
To me, to cross into the 9, it has I have to answer the question, is this a game that I could play every year? Like for movies, for example. In movies, in the app I use to score movies, I only go 1 through 10. I'm not going 1 to 100. To be a 9, it has to be a movie that I could watch every year. And I've only given 2 9s as being something that is compelling and engaging and characters that hold up. And there are a lot of 8s. There's a lot of 8s. I'm like, this movie is fun but flawed. I like this movie. But to be like, I love this fucking movie.
No movie's a 10 for you then?
I have no 10s. I have 2 9s and no 10s through everything I've watched this year.
Not even Jurassic Park, dude?
Jurassic Park's an 8.
I'm afraid to ask what you did give 9s to.
I think we've talked about this. I gave it to The Martian and Django Unchained. Are my only 2 9s
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
that's fucking wild. Like,
That is weird company. I mean, those are good movies, but
Tarantino's fourth best movie is the one you give a 9 to. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
It was one of the few Tarantino films where he was both weird and disgusting, but also told a cohesive fucking story that didn't make me want to shoot myself.
Okay, well, this is once again like you've watched Pulp Fiction in like 6 pieces on 5 different viewings, and I guarantee you if your first experience of that movie was just watching it, you would have been like, this is literally fucking genius. I can't believe he did this in 1990 or whatever.
Inglourious Bastards, for example, I don't know how many times I've tried to watch that movie, and I'm just like, this isn't it. This isn't it for me. It's not what I'm looking for.
It's fun.
It's a good movie.
Look, it's fine. I just like it. Just like it's a good frame of reference for me to know that you have thrown any illusion of objectivity completely and totally out the window, and you're like, I'm just gonna rate this however the fuck I want to rate this. That's fine. That for me helps a lot because it means I will argue with you a lot less.
You're gonna lose your fucking mind when I give you my Mario RPG score next week.
I really don't care. EJ, what score you give it. I really don't. You could be Jesus fucking Christ come from heaven in the second coming, and I'd be like, I don't give a fuck if you think this game's a 5 out of 10. I literally don't care.
Well, let's be reasonable. I would come on, 5 out. That's crazy. Let's be reasonable here. Give me some credit.
Tangentially, not really that tangentially, but talking about outlets that have never given a 10 or their equivalent. PC Gamer has never given a 100 to a game. The highest rated game, I think they've given a 98. I believe they gave 98s to. Okay, so I'm looking at the rubric, and they have sort of a breakdown of like what the different percentage ranges mean. So from 90 to 94, they say a compelling recommendation for most PC gamers, important to PC gaming as a whole, and likely ahead of its time, e.g., Portal 2, The Witcher 3. Then they have 95 to 98, which they say is absolutely brilliant. This is far and away one of the best games we've ever played, and we recommend it to the world, e.g., Half-Life 2, Minecraft, and Kerbal Space Program.
Oh my God.
For 99 to 100, they say, advances the human species, provides a feeling not dissimilar to the ending of Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. And they've never given anything above a 98.
I respect that on a 100-point scale to say that we're never going to see
there's 100
anything.
points. Use them. Or don't.
Kerbal Space Program? Fucking Minecraft.
People love that game.
People are just... I mean, it's PC Gamer. I mean, it's really speaking to a very specific type of person, and they are not doing any justice to themselves and dispelling stereotypes.
I mean, Minecraft is goddamn near as close to a perfect game, I think, as you could possibly conceive
It's
of.
not a game. It's a tool set. It's like saying fucking hammer is the best house. It's a fucking tool. It's not a game. Minecraft, well, it's more of a game now than it was 10 years ago, but come on.
And they gave Baldur's Gate 3 a 97, which is the highest score they've given in 16 years.
Our highest score they've ever given to a real game. Good for them.
They also gave, the last highest score was Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, which they gave a 98. Half-Life 2, they gave a 98. Crisis, the original Crisis, they gave a 98. Sid Meier's Civilization 2, they gave a 97. And the original Half-Life, they also gave a 97.
I forget this outlet has been around for so long. Hearing those
For like
names.
30 years, yeah. Like PC Gamer. I mean, it's PC Games, PC, like the origins of it.
Civ 2 being the highest rated Civ game is certainly. But yeah, time and place, you have to go back to the 90s and think about where they were coming from. And that makes sense. You can't judge everything as a fresh experience from the current year. Like Half-Life 2 big on that list. It's hilarious.
Yeah, Team Fortress 2, Spelunky, Kerbal Space Program. All super high
Spelunky?
games.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's funny. That is just funny to me. Anyway, Mario Wonder, good game. Good ass game. Do we want to do brief impressions on Mario RPG? Do you want to talk, Chris, about your week with it? Or are we saving it?
Nope.
All right.
Wants to keep it all bundled up. When are we going to have a podcast with Brennan?
When we have solidified the league standings.
And also, when did we want to, this might be an off podcast conversation, but talk about what we're doing for next year, what we want to have changed, when we want to draft, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, we should do that in the breakdown pod for sure. Also, the standings are solidified. It's over.
Standings are not solidified. Brendan has one slot and $2 to work with. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. Brendan is hoping potentially for a shadow drop come Game Awards. So he's only 9 points behind you, 9.5 points. If he gets a shadow drop, he'll beat you. So we're just going to wait and see how things play out in the next couple of weeks. Nick has won the league, though. That is solidified. Unless Counter-Strike drops to a 50, which is certainly not going to happen. So Chris is now trying to go figure out how to spend his $1 to replace Shadow of Erdtree in the hopes that Brendan does in fact hit on a potential shadow drop.
No, I'm Googling how long to beat EJ Edition for a game that's as easy as Super Mario RPG to see if we can actually talk about it or not.
EJ can beat that game in 15 hours. Easy.
I'm at 12 hours and I have 5 stars. So
That's what?
a lot of that's probably AFK time because every other 10 minutes I'm looking at my phone because this game has been extremely boring. But
If you're actually playing, you can finish that game. You're a pretty good chunk into it. I believe I'm also at 5 stars, and I think I could beat that game about 3 more hours.
I'm at like
so
eight
we'll
and
see.
a half with a decent amount of AFK, and I've got 6. No, I've got 5, but I'm almost to Monstro Town. So
Yeah, you also know things like, you're not racking your brain trying to figure out the difference between fucking pearls and I can't remember what the other option would have been.
yeah, it's true. I could play this game in my sleep. I've done it so many times. I'm not a good model for it, but yeah, beat the game. Beat the game. We'll talk about it next week.
Oh, I will beat the game. I will beat the game. And I will talk about it. Preview, it's the worst Mario RPG I've played, but it's a fine game.
Before we sign off officially, I just wanted to do a little show and tell for a couple pickups that I got
Ooh.
that I think would tickle you. Right here.
Oh,
We
you
got
got
Castle Crashers.
yours.
Yeah.
Finally. It's been so long.
It came with a little keychain or like a little charm for the troll animal pet,
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
Big fan of that. Would have been happier if it was the giraffe. I was rocking that giraffe that entire game.
Sure.
Get the extra experience. And then also, Chris, just to add to my oeuvre of games I might eventually get around to. You got
Yeah.
the Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion.
What do all those words mean? What game is that actually? Is that a unique
It is
title?
a
Crisis
sort
Core.
of prequel spin-off of Final Fantasy VII starring Zack Fair, who is a primary deuteragonist to Cloud.
Okay. He gets his own game, though.
Yeah, there was a whole like Final Fantasy VII like pantheon of spin-offs that they're doing
Compilation.
that were all titled AC, BC, CC, DC, and then they eventually got to EC with Ever Crisis. So congratulations, Nomura, and your weird ideas. But yeah, it was one of those games back in the day, along with Dirge of Cerberus, Advent Children. I can't remember what the BC
Before Crisis,
was the
yeah, it was
mobile
the phone
Yeah.
game, which you can now do in the Ever Crisis, which is the current mobile one.
which is getting a Steam port soon, and hopefully it'll get a Switch port without all the bad gotcha.
Yeah, do the Mega Man X dive treatment where you just remove all of that shit and just let us play the game.
Yeah, that would be ideal, but I don't foresee that happening because Square Enix loves to make baffling decisions with their mobile games, a la their Battle Royale game that they just shut down service for, also for Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, that's great. Also, EJ, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the league and I'm looking at in what capacity does Brendan have a slot? Because he absolutely does not. Unless you're telling me that he's gonna guess on an unannounced game, hope it gets announced and shadow dropped at the Game Awards, because every single one of his slots is either counterpicked or released. So no, Brendan Allen does not have a slot.
Yeah, I would probably pay attention to the rumor mill a little bit more in the coming week or two, Chris.
So what you're telling me is he is going to try to bank on dropping his unannounced title. That's what you're telling me.
There will be a Shadow Drop game at the Game Awards. It's just a matter of which.
Will it be an 80?
Almost certainly will net him at least 10 points.
Just like Red Dead Redemption.
Don't get
I
me
know,
started.
I'm sorry. It should be more than a 78, let's be honest. But that is still hilarious to me.
Yeah, you got more points out of that than you would with Donkey Kong or whatever the fuck was operating in that slot initially.
Yeah, great. I only had to lose the league
Donkey
by
Kong
11 points
and
not
Fire
20.
Emblem.
Yeah, I got railroaded this year by Metroid Prime unannounced, fucking getting Nick 28 goddamn fucking points, which is insane. Fuck that game. Constant Crusade Podcast.